Back everyone. I made this video a couple of years ago, actually back in 2019, and I made this tier list maker back in 2019 when this thing was popular, and I went ahead and added some newer iPhones to it. All the iPhones should be here, and I wanted to kind of rank them. Now I don't want to take 50 minutes to break down each single one, but I think some of you may have a good idea of where I stand with some of these. I completely butchered these last images that I added, but hopefully you guys can get a pretty decent understanding of these iPhones. If you want to make your own tier list and you want to go ahead and see which ones you like or whatever, if you want to go ahead and actually rank these iPhones too, I will leave this link in the description. You can go there and just figure it out for yourself. Now we have the first iPhone, and obviously I would probably rank this as an S tier. I mean, it's the first one that ever came out. It's not the best one anymore, but whatever. You guys kind of know what I'm talking about. The iPhone 3G honestly wasn't that big of a difference from the iPhone 2G. I mean, it brought a couple of good things here and there, but I would rank this kind of like a B tier. We did get a better, body. We got some different things here and there, but there really wasn't that anything like super crazy. The 3GS though, this was the first iPhone that I actually had. It had a bad backlight to it, so I couldn't even I use it as an iPod basically. I would probably rank this at probably like a tier. I would rank it right above the 3G, but I don't think it was as impactful as the first iPhone. However, the iPhone 4, I think, was probably that S tier, man. This thing brought a brand new body, glass back, and this thing was so ahead of its time. We still have iPhones like the iPhone 12, the iPhone 13s that were stemmed from something like the iPhone 4. So I think the iPhone 4 by far was one of the best things Apple has ever made, and I still think in 2022 it holds up really well in terms of a body standpoint. It got completely butchered in my opinion on iOS 7, but it was a beautiful phone. The iPhone 4S, I mean, I would rank this probably at like a B tier. I mean, I don't think, again, it was as crazy, as impactful as the 3GS. It was pretty much just a stem from the iPhone 4, but the problem with the 4S is that, it did get iOS 9, which really wasn't that great on it. And since then, I mean, again, it was pretty much an iPhone 4 reincarnated. Didn't really bring anything super crazy except Siri, but I don't think it was like a horrible phone either. The iPhone 5C, interestingly enough, I would probably put this as a C tier. I think this was one of those iPhones that, I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't like a crazy impactful iPhone either. It was a watered down iPhone 5S. It was a cheaper iPhone 5, which made no sense to me. But the problem is that with the iPhone 5C, it really kind of originated the cheaper budget iPhones, and we would have never gotten like an iPhone SE or like an iPhone probably 11 or iPhone 10R if we didn't get the 5C. The iPhone 5, on the other hand, I would probably rank this at probably like, I would probably go for the A tier. I mean, this was another kind of, design change, which was cool. We got a better feeling body, bigger screen. I don't think it was like crazy, impactful, but it's still kind of relevant, and I do like this iPhone a lot. I would probably rank the iPhone 5S also as an A tier. We had the fingerprint sensor, we had, some other things like that. It was still supported with iOS 12, which was really impressive, but I think it was a pretty good phone overall. Now with the iPhone 6 Plus, I would probably put it at a B tier, but because of the bend gate issue that the iPhone 6 Plus and the iPhone 6 kind of had, I would probably rank it at a C tier. Now this is kind of controversial. Now, I think the 6 Plus was actually the first iPhone I ever owned, and I had a great time with it. But the problem with the 6 Plus and the 6 right now is because of that bend gate issue, and because Apple didn't really support these iPhones for too much longer past iOS 12, it really wasn't like a crazy phone. I mean, I like the impact that they had. They were big iPhones. They, brought a design change. They brought bigger bodies, but again, when you consider the effect of pretty much the iPhone 6 Plus and the 6 with the bend gate issue and what it did to Apple, and Apple still having to repair a lot of these iPhones, Apple sold a lot of them. They didn't support them for too long, and I would probably put them at a C tier. They're probably right above the C, but they're probably below a B in my opinion. Now the 6S Plus, this was the next iPhone I owned, and I would probably put this almost at like, I would put this above the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. I think these were pretty impactful. However, I would probably put the iPhone 6S right there too, wherever I have the 6S at. I don't even know if I have it here, right here. And, honestly, I would put these two right above the 6. I think these were really good iPhones, and these were some of the most important iPhones Apple has ever made. However, on iOS 15, they aren't really that great, and these are how I feel about them right now. I mean, if they were, of all time, they'd be a little different. But with the 6S and 6S Plus, they offered a smaller battery size from the previous generation, which was honestly very weird. They were really cool. I think they, 2 gigabytes of RAM, 4K at 30 on the back, better cameras, faster speeds, they're still supported. I don't want to say they're A tier because of the smaller batteries and because of some issues here and there, but they are definitely really important phones that Apple has ever made. And honestly, you know what? I would put these as A tier. I would put both of these as A tier. Not as impactful as those two iPhones, but they were super important in my opinion. Now, the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, I would also put as an A tier in my opinion. Now, these iPhones are the only iPhones that are the lowest iPhones that are going to be supported on iOS 16, probably. That's what all the rumors suggest. And I do think these iPhones are honestly just as important as the 6S and 6S Plus. They're really cool iPhones. I wouldn't necessarily recommend buying them right now, but they weren't perfect either. They had some issues here and there, but they were solid iPhones, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of these two still. Now, with the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, I feel like I'm gonna have to run out of room for the Ace A tier. These were great devices too. The iPhone 8, not so much. I mean, the battery life was a little weird. The iPhone 8 Plus, I think, is still a really good phone, but the iPhone 10 is an S tier device. This is a beautiful device. It still holds up extremely well, has great speed, great build quality. Everything about that phone is perfect. The first generation iPhone SE, I would honestly also probably put this as an A tier because this was a rearrangement of their budget tier device. I love the first generation iPhone SE. I'm not a big fan of the iPhone SE 2, but this one is, good enough for the most part. The iPhone 10R I would honestly put as an S tier as well. A very great iPhone for that price tag. It's gone down in value so much right now. When it first came out, $750 was too much. But then with the iPhone 11, Apple did a tremendous job at actually decreasing that price tag. And honestly, I would put this iPhone above all these other ones, man. The iPhone 4 is probably right below the iPhone 4. iPhone 11 was so good, and I'm still a humongous fan of this iPhone for sure. The iPhone XS, I would probably put at that B tier. It wasn't anything crazy, and I would put the XS Max probably there. Actually, I would probably put the XS. I would probably put the XS Max there, to be honest. Like, it was a good phone. There wasn't anything like monumentally different from the 10S to the 10 to the XS. The XS Max, I guess it was the first time we saw that resurgence of that bigger model with like bezel-less and notch and all that stuff. It wasn't really that great though. It had a smaller battery size, and I liked it and appreciate the bigger size. But I definitely do think that the XS Max is probably right in between a B and a C tier. The 11 Pro Max, I would honestly also probably put it as an S tier device, as well as the iPhone 11 Pro, man. Beautiful devices. I had such a good time with it. Apple knocked it out of the park with that iPhone 11 series, and they did a tremendous job. I think it was great. I think they, knocked it out of the park, and I do think it was one of those devices that Apple, if they remade it and kind of put it in today's standards, I think it would be really, really good. Now, the iPhone 12 series, this is where it gets a little controversial. So with the 12 mini, I would probably put it as a B tier device. They brought a smaller phone, but they also, there were a lot of battery issues with the 12 series devices, but the 12 mini probably got it the worst because it had the smallest battery size. So the battery life was one of the worst things about this phone, but it's probably gotten a little bit better here and there since the 13 mini came out. The iPhone 12, I would probably also put it as B tier, to be honest. The 12 Pro Max I would probably also put in a B tier, and the 12 Pro I would probably put in a C tier. Now let me explain. These ones I used the 12 a lot, but I didn't really experience any battery degradation with these iPhones. I've seen a lot of people experience battery degradation on all these devices, so keep that in mind. I personally owned the 12 Pro for a year, and my battery went down to like 80 something percent by the end of it, which was very, very weird. It was a $1,000 phone. It should have never happened. It's been a huge issue. Apple still hasn't, fixed it. Obviously, I would rather have a 12 Pro than an iPhone 5C, but for the impact that phone had, it didn't really have like a crazy big impact. We got a bigger body change and everything, but because I personally use this phone and because I had so many issues with it, I probably wouldn't, recommend people buying it. It's kind of sad because it's a beautiful looking phone. The 13 Pro looks almost the same thing as this, but it just didn't really hold up too well in terms of like, the durability and the battery, aspect. The iPhone 13, I think, is an A-tier device. This is a great phone for sure. I haven't had any issues with it yet. Hopefully, I don't have any issues with it, but it's a great phone. I have, tremendous respect for that device. The 13 mini, I would also probably put as an A tier. It pretty much fixed a lot of those issues that I had with the iPhone 12 mini, which was really important. I didn't want to get a phone and already have a worse battery life than its predecessor, and Apple with the 13 series did a tremendous job with it for sure. And I think I'm a huge fan of that phone without a doubt. Now with the iPhone 13 Pro, this is my main phone that I'm using, and I would probably put it as an S tier device. Same thing with the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Great phones, tremendous build quality, 120Hz display, bigger size batteries, better cameras, I guess faster speeds, but it didn't really matter. This is the perfect iPhones. Those two are the perfect iPhones of all time, and I'm humongous fans of those devices for sure. I mean, it doesn't really get too much better than that. Now we finally have the iPhone SE 2. I would probably also put this as a C tier device. The main reason for this is because it came out in 2020, it still looks extremely old. I think Apple can do a better job than that, to be honest. And because the successor is probably going to be the same thing looking as this, I'm not a huge fan of it. And for $400, I think Apple can do much better with that price tag. They can easily put like an iPhone 10R body in that thing. I will be curious to see what Apple does in the future. But as of right now, the SE2 is probably a C tier. When it first came out, it was probably more like a tier, to be honest. But now, I mean, it's 2 years old and it's not really getting any better looking. I'd probably put that as a C tier. So that is pretty much how I would rank these iPhones. If you want to go ahead and rank them yourself, link is down in the description. But I would probably, this is probably definitive for now. I'd probably redo this in like a couple of months. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.